If you have been thinking about starting a career as an emergency telecommunicator, undoubtedly on your mind is what sort of process will you start with? What are the steps required? Can I make it? These are questions that any new applicant has, and we are here to shed some light on them. This is LifeLine. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of LifeLine 911 with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I'm your co-host, Gary, and today we are discussing how to prepare to become a telecommunicator in the emergency profession. I think it's a new year, start for new opportunities, so we hope everybody takes advantage of those, and we know a lot of people get concerned or confused or maybe even scared about what the process might be. So we wanted to take some time to kind of talk about what the process generally is like. Each agency, of course, will be its own unique thing,
Sure.
but to dispel some of those concerns and rumors.
Yep.
Because it's such an important profession to have and needs new people, new blood in it, as Erica and I have often said.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. We're going to retire or die or both eventually.
Yep.
And somebody has to carry the torch for the profession. No, I mean that people don't like to think about that, but it's true. We're not going to be around forever. I'm 25. Right at 25 years in. You're 17 in. And we may be around for a while, but we're going to reach a point where doing the hands-on work of it, reflexes, quick thinking, all of those things decline over time. And like it or don't, that's the reality. So, new blood.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we thought it might be a good way to kind of broach the topic by taking some questions about it. We normally do 3 questions in our mailbag, but I have a list of several questions here from people to maybe help get the conversation flowing and maybe be a little bit more on point to what different people are thinking about. So with that, we'll kind of break into it.
Yep.
The first question is from Career Reset 32. They ask, I'm changing careers in my 30s. Am I too old to become a 911 dispatcher?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would say it depends on the kind of agency you're thinking about applying to, what path I would encourage you to take as far as entry level. If you're looking at a larger agency like ours where the disciplines are separated, one person takes the call, the other person dispatches the call. I really believe fully that it is best to enter through 911 call taking first, if at all possible, because that's going to be your foundation. That is what, in my opinion, introduces you into this world of first responding. You will learn the lingo, learn requirements. You will learn atmosphere, culture. A lot of that is shocking to people when they get into it. The long hours, the different shifts that you could possibly be working. You'll be introduced into, NCIC, the National Crime Information Center, and all of the different systems that we use. I just really think that is, if you're going to do a stepping stone, that's it. Now, if you are in a rural in part of the country, or if you're in a place where there's a smaller agency, you're going to get it all. But I think they all start with 911 call taking, and that's not because it's less than, it is just the best entry point, I think.
Yes, I would agree to that. You've got just one thing that you're concentrating on at a time as opposed to a whole bunch of different things. So it makes it a little bit easier to kind of start eating that elephant one bite at a time, because as you said, you've already got the policies and procedures that you've got to learn, and then the lingo and the culture. So starting with again, not easier,
No.
but more focused path will be a little bit easier.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly the best way to put it. More
Mhm.
focused. It is that call in that moment, but make no mistake, it is a noble profession and a noble entry point. Not less
Mhm.
than by any means, just very different.
Yeah, and if you can withstand the slings and arrows that the callers are going to hurl at you for a year or two, you'll be confident to take anything that will be thrown at you in the future.
Definitely. Yes, agreed. And but no, to answer the question, absolutely not. You are not. We have people who enter this profession from all walks of life and all stages of life. We've had people take their first 911 call in their 60s.
Mhm.
So no, not too old.
Yes, we had an episode with a dispatcher who started later in life, Barbara,
Uh-huh.
and she was very open and candid with how that went for her, and I thought that was a really interesting story that she shared. So
Yeah,
you're never too late to start,
I
even if
agree.
you were in your 50s or 60s.
Yeah, agreed.
Our next question is from Burn to Learn. How long does it really take to get hired and trained before you're allowed to take calls alone?
Okay, that depends. And it's going to sound like a broken record in a way, but Gary's 100% right when he says that each agency is a little, may be a little different. But like I said to the last one, it is going to depend on the size and scope of the agency that you apply to. For us in Austin, it is, the from application to sitting in the classroom, which is about a month long by itself. What is it? A month to 4 to 6 weeks. It just depends. Um,
Yeah.
I would say, and they've gotten better. Dang it, I wish I had our recruiting people. But I think from application to start date, if you will, is minimum a month. And it's probably a little longer than that. It just depends on, how quickly you can go through the steps. And some of the steps are you're going to fill out your application. You're going to potentially go through a psych evaluation. You're going to fill out a personal statement, which when I say statement is not an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. It is probably minimum 25 of those, front and back. They're going to ask you the same question 15 different ways. And depending on the kind of agency you're applying to, they're going to want to talk to your kindergarten teacher, or the person that babysat you when you were 5, or, 3 months old, all the things. And I'm not being funny. Some agencies they do what is considered a deep dive into your
Hmm.
background. You may have to undergo a credit history check as well as a regular
Yeah. Yeah.
background check. Yeah. Um, let's see, drug testing. And some agencies do just, a basic urine test. Others want a blood test. Others want that, the urine test plus the blood test, and they'll take hair. They want the hair follicle test.
Mhm.
So there might be a swab. It just depends. There might be a physical. It depends. Um,
Yeah.
there might even be a polygraph. And like I think I took care of all of. Oh, there might even also be some aptitude testing. They're going to see your reasoning
Typing
skills.
test.
Yeah, your typing, your reasoning skills, how quickly you retain information that's thrown at you rapid fire. And that test is not designed to see if you can master it. I think it's designed to determine whether or not you have the aptitude to learn the rest of what it is we have to teach you. I think
Hmm.
that's pretty. And then of course your interview panel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
several steps.
Yeah. Because generally, as you said, you're going to first go on, usually online or maybe into the police department, pick up an application, put that in, and then that month or two while you're doing all of those things that you just said, Erica. Uh, and then after that, you're going to have your classroom training, which again varies by agency, but anticipate probably 4 weeks to 2 months at a typical agency, and then you're going to have after that on the job training, which is going to tack on another probably month and a half to some agencies even go 4 or 5 months. So the whole process may take you half a year or longer before you're actually cut loose taking calls on your own.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a process, but you're gonna pick up a lot of skills that you're gonna need for the job. So by the time that you are sitting by yourself, you'll feel confident that you're not going to run into a situation you can't handle.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's what that's what any training should try and prepare you for.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. From Missy Demeanor. How strict are background checks for dispatchers compared to cops? Missy Demeanor makes me wonder.
I know, right? Missy Demeanor, that's funny. By comparison, it depends. I will go off the top of my head. I know, let's take Dallas, for instance. There, unless it's changed, which I don't think it has, their background is equal to that of a police officer. You will go through the polygraph. You will do, matter of fact, I think it's kind of like broken up into 2 sections. You'll fill out the personal history, if you will, a polygraph packet first, and then you will take the actual polygraph test, and the polygraph packet answers must match the polygraph test. It's videoed, so they're watching for body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, inflections, word
Everything.
choices, you name it. As if they
Heart rate.
One would think that by the time they got done, they could just point to you and say, "You're up. Here's your gun, here's your taser, here's your stuff," and off you go. Us, not as intense as that, but I think all we're missing is the physical and when I say physical, like the exercises, rowing and whatever all else, the horrible things they do to you at the academy, and the polygraph. I think that is the only difference between, at our agency, us and police. Probably the credit check. I think there's a credit check involved there too.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because while the job is not the same, the level of clearance to confidential information that you have is the same as the police officers. So you, in cop shows, you always hear, "Hey, run the rap sheet on that guy," or something. He's got a rap sheet a mile long. That's just a criminal history check.
Yeah.
And we, as telecommunicators, at least in the state of Texas, have the same license and ability to do that as sworn officers do.
Yep.
So they've got to really make sure that it's a beefy check, so that you're who you say you are, you're doing what you should be doing, you've got no moral turpitude issues, because there's a lot of trust and faith that the public puts in you to help keep law and order, and to also not abuse your powers and privileges.
So true. Very true.
So from Night Owl Applicant, do new hires always get stuck working nights, or is there any flexibility?
No, not at least not in our agency. No, it's so interesting. We've seen people come through and be the newest of the new and land on days within 6 months. Now, you most likely through the training, and I know that there are differences between agencies, but most will cycle you through night shift so that you can experience those types of calls and cases, so that you have a well-rounded education. And I think that is the way to go. I think it is unrealistic to come into a 24/7, 365 environment and think that you will never touch night shift. And I think it would be I think it would be I think it would be irresponsible of any agency to hire you on and you never experience or touch night shift, because it's a different beast. It's a different animal, different types of calls. You can get the same kind of suspicious person call on days that you get on nights, but the possibilities of where it can go are completely different because the sun's no longer out. And people act differently under the quote unquote cover of night. So,
Yes.
you know, you hear me all the time say the freaks come out at night and they're real freaks. So, to answer your question, no, they don't always get stuck on nights, but I think for you to be a well-rounded telecommunicator, no matter the size or location of your agency, I think that you should spend some time on night shift.
Yeah, and in your training, you're probably going to be training during the day, especially for like the classroom portion of the training. And then when you get to the on-the-job training, that's when you kind of cycle through different time periods, different shifts. I will say that for our center at least, and I think for most of them, the seniority tends to skew towards the earlier shifts rather than the latter shifts. But, you know, as you said, it's not always the case. Sometimes you might have a very new person that ends up on day shift, or a very senior person that prefers to work on night shift. And I would 100% agree that having exposure to all the hours of the day is very, very helpful to building a holistic operator, be it a dispatcher or a call taker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. Our next question is from Rookie Recruit. If I don't have any law enforcement or medical experience, do I even have a chance of getting hired on? Clearly not. No, we only hire people that are experts.
No, actually, nothing could be further from the truth, because we don't require any previous experience. And I don't know any agency for telecommunicator that is. Well, probably not even really for law enforcement or firefighter or even EMS, because if you've never done this, there's nothing that preps you for it. So we have to be willing to train you to it. So I know for us, we usually look for related experience. So if we're going to hire you to be a 911 call taker or a dispatcher, I need to know that you are able to hold a conversation. So we're looking for customer service is related experience, because you have to be able to relate to the public, relate to our internal customers, because we do have those, and those are our field units and our partners that we speak to that are not in law enforcement, that help us do our job. Anything from a record company to being able to call an apartment complex after hours and speak to the answering service about how to get somebody out there. But even if you are fresh out of high school, we'll take that, because one, unless you were just a juvenile delinquent, chances are your record's going to be good enough to get you through the door. So to answer your question, no, you don't have to worry about that. Experience is never a prerequisite that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and some of our best employees came in, this was their first job, and
some of our most entertaining employees, this is their first job.
Yes, absolutely. Because Erica and I often talk about telecommunications being a profession, the profession of 911 operators, the profession of dispatchers, and that is true. But we also have it's also an entry-level profession in a lot of ways. You don't need prior experience. Really, the most important things to have are a good attitude. Like, you want to help people, you're okay with making mistakes and learning and growing from it and staying positive, and you're willing to work. Those are way more important than any amount of previous experience could ever be.
Agreed.
So if you've got those traits and attributes, please don't not apply just because you don't have any prior experience in the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I agree.
Typing's good too. Know how to type, please.
Now that I think is probably going to be the deal breaker. If you cannot type at all. And by that, I mean, sorry, y'all, this right here, them 2 thumbs is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all 10 fingers. Familiar with the home keys.
Yeah. I know we're kind of doing a rapid fire round, but to digress, when I was training at dispatch one time, I had this. I worked night shift and a busy radio in the city, and so it was my first day with this guy who was coming in to train with me, and he was towards the end of his training already, so he should have been ready to go. So we sit down. The first night I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Gary. Hi, da da da. And I'm like, okay, show me what you got. And so he sits down and unit keys up. Unit 702, traffic stop, 2829. So the trainee's like, okay, go ahead.
Hunt
and I'm like,
peck.
Just pull back. Yeah, just pull back. This isn't gonna work. And I told him, I was like, you're gonna have to go home and practice a lot because you have to get this down or you can't do it. So
here's what I want to know: how did he get to you if you were on nights?
That is a good question.
Okay.
That's a good question.
10-4-4-10. All right then.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving along from stress test. That's an interesting way to write that. From stress test. What do agencies look for when they test whether someone can handle the stress of the job?
Is there a test for that?
I don't know if there's a hard and fast test for it, but typically they're going to be observing how you react to stressful situations. So are you, when they give you a scenario, are you able to kind of think through it, or do you freeze?
Oh, yeah, that's
freezing
true.
is a really key indicator that you might have some issues. I mean, we could train that freezing out of you, but that's a hill to overcome.
That's true. You're right, because I remember applying for one agency as a 911 call taker, and it was a really interesting way to do it. They gave us, there was a scenario component to it, and at this time I had never taken 911 calls. I was a dispatcher, and so when I went to apply for this would be a shift to the other discipline. And so in the panel room, they had, I feel like it's 2, maybe 3 people, and it was almost like a semicircle or maybe an L shape kind of set up. And then there was a chair in the middle of the room, and the chair was facing away from the panel. So you had to, I know. I was like, okay, you just go with it, right? Because I don't even know what this is. And they say you sit down, and they gave me a scenario in my hand, and it was something like you're taking a 911 call, and the person, like a suspicious person type thing, nothing too cray-cray, because people who have never been in the profession have to be able to maneuver through this scenario. But then they threw a monkey wrench, and I don't know if that was to test me because they knew I had previous experience or what. But all of a sudden, the scenario shifts, and the person says, I've been stabbed. I need help. Now, my previous experience, even though I'd never done it before, I'd heard it so many times till I just said, stay on the line for EMS. And I just literally, and I didn't blink. But that's because I'm not to say that I'm immune to the stress of something like that, but my brain immediately went, oh, wait, this has changed. I'm no longer in police mode. Let's get the experts on the line, EMS. So I feel like that was one way for them to test the stress level, because I wasn't the only one doing that application process. And not everybody that came through had previous experience. What I think they were looking for was to see if you would even attempt to improvise versus stop cold and go, I don't know what to do. And the other thing they said is do not, no matter what you do, break character.
Yeah. That's a very interesting kind of interview panel.
Yeah. I mean, I'd done the actual interview, the questions, back and forth. And then this was the second component.
Okay.
So for a way to test that, that's the only thing that I can recall.
Yeah, and I mean, they do have these, like the psych tests that you're going to take and maybe even meet with a psychologist to discuss things. But really, the stress test, I suppose, is actually doing the job, because you'll find out yourself, or your trainers will notice for you, hey, you're really not, this isn't working for you. And it doesn't mean you're a bad employee. It doesn't mean you didn't try hard. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Some people really have a hard time with a lot of it. And it's not anything negative about you. If it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yes.
Because you can really mess up your psyche if you try and force yourself to do this job when that's not who you are.
Yeah, when it becomes clear that it is not, and it is, I can't stress enough, and I think you either said it or agreed, it's not, it doesn't make you less than, it just means that this is not for everyone. It just isn't. And that is okay too.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly fine.
Yep.
We'll do one more. So we'll do probation frustrations question. What happens if someone struggles during their first year? Do they just get fired? Yes. No.
You're awful. You are awful. No, they do not just get fired. Matter of fact, I would say before you're out of training, we know if there is, if there are some weak spots. And that's not to say that you won't pass the training, even with some areas that could use some improvement. But I'm going to take my supervisor hat out of my back pocket right here real quick and slap it on. The job of your leadership is to make you better once you are done with your initial training. You should not be expected to be at the height of your game, if you will. We're giving you training to make you proficient, not an expert. That is, continued growth should be happening after. And if you are struggling, it is your leadership's job to help you figure out where you're going wrong and give you the tools and education and time to get better. It would be, most agencies spend thousands, and I'm not kidding here, thousands of dollars, and I'm not more than
tens of thousands.
It just depends. I know at one point I heard a figure upwards of about 20 grand by the time it is done, from application to release from training, on one applicant. So they are not spending that money and time and effort to just cut you loose at the first sign of struggle. Even if the struggle is, if the struggle goes on a little while, what they really want to see is steady effort from you and improvement.
Yeah, and even aside from the cash, the money that was burned training you and hiring you, everyone in your supervisory chain and all the other people that work on the floor have likely been in that stage. Because when you first start, it's very hard, whether you start as a call taker or as a dispatcher. It's very hard.
It's hard.
And we see that struggle that we went through in you. So if you're going through that, we recognize that, hey, they're having trouble with the stress of the job. They're having trouble with the skill set of the job, with remembering the proper protocols and procedures, whatever it may be. We've all been there. We've all gone through that. And we want you to succeed.
Sure.
Because it is, I hate to use the cliche, but as you know, it's kind of a family. And we want everyone, to do well. And then, Erica, as you said earlier, there's got to be people to replace us. So we also want that. And we want to make sure that we keep our cities and communities safe, and the cops and firefighters and the medics out there safe. So all of these factors are pulling into us when we see someone struggling. We really, really want you to succeed. Now, kind of going back to the previous question, there are times when we have to say, this job, it's not for you. It doesn't mean you're bad. But this job is tearing you up, and if you keep at it, it's going to kill you. And
it's so true.
Literally. So there are times we have to say that. But by and large, everyone that's working with you is going to be pulling for you to succeed. And it's not a happy day when we have to fire somebody.
Not at all.
Or cut them loose. But don't feel like you're not going to get a chance to make mistakes and to learn, because that's the only way you can improve at the job.
Yep.
And Erica, as you said, we're not looking like, when you train with somebody, they're going to be pretty much the gold star people of the department, because they're going to be really expert in it. They're going to know policy and procedure very well. They're going to have everything down. We're not looking for that from somebody recently cut loose. We're looking for bronze level dispatchers.
Yes.
So don't stress out when you're not that way, because as you say, Erica, how long did it take you to get as good as you are?
As long as it took.
As long as it took.
And when am I going to get faster? It's one of my favorite questions. And I go, you ready? And they go, when you get faster. That's when you're going to get faster.
It seems like a stupid or flippant answer, but it's the truth.
I don't mean that to be funny at all. I mean, you get faster when you get faster. When you put in your reps and you put in your time, and it all becomes muscle memory. You don't have to think about it so much. That's when you look up one day and you're like, I did that thing and I didn't even remember doing it. Yes, but that took time to get there.
Yes, there's no royal road to success.
No.
You've got to learn.
Yep.
And the people I think that struggle the most with that are people that typically are like the 4.0 GPA students that are like, I've always done really well and I've never had any troubles, and now I suck. Why is this?
Because you're learning.
Because you're new at it. Yeah, you're new at it. Of course you're going to suck.
Well, yeah.
You've never done it before.
I know some of our peers really come out believing that they're killing it 2 days after training. For those of you who are listening on all of our podcast listening services, you can't see my face right now, but I bet you can listen to my tone of voice.
I can hear your face.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Mission accomplished.
Yes. So yeah, don't feel like you're going to get cut loose, fired in the first year. As long as you're making an effort, then people are going to work with you.
You're just getting started a year out. Please.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions, but hopefully we covered somewhat of a broad swath of topics for people that are interested in applying to be 911 operators or police dispatchers or fire or medical dispatchers as well. It's kind of all the same process.
You know what we ought to do? We ought to come up with I think we ought to come up with like a interview panel coaching type thing.
Yeah, that could be good. That's a good idea.
Because people don't expect that. A lot of times when you go into just, out there in the world, they don't expect a lot of panel interviews and what that looks like when you've got more than one person asking you the questions and how best to respond to that. I don't know. It just popped into my head.
That's good. I will write that down, and we will look for that for a future episode.
Yep.
And we hope that you all will look for us in a future episode as well. As always, we've really enjoyed having your company with us today. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to send them in. We love getting new show ideas from you guys and answering your questions when we can. And if you enjoyed what you heard, please make sure that you like and subscribe and share it with your coworkers and friends.
Yes, please.
Because our whole goal is to make the profession better, and we can't do that without you.
Agreed. Well said.
And from all of us at LifeLine 911, I'm Gary.
I'm Erica.
And we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.